Hello everyone, so Kim here with Native Lady Book Warrior, and today I am going to be reviewing, Nightmare by Chad Nicholas. So, let the wild rumpus start. Hello readers, I am happy to see all of you again. And in October, woohoo! I'm loving all of the fall and October content and the spooky and fall TBR reads and the readathons and fall book tags, etc, etc, etc. So if you all have any fall related booktube video or content, please leave a link down below and so I can check that out. I love fall content. I'm sorry I only have a little bit of time to do this book review because I'm very busy. My family, you'll probably hear them screaming in the background. This is crazy. I'm finally getting to this book review. Whew, okay, back to the book. So, content warning. This book has the potential to trigger, and that possibly includes child torture, child abuse, child neglect, animal death, murder. This book, it doesn't pull punches. It's not extremely graphic, but there are some disturbing parts in this book that even rocked me. This book was a very interesting read. I have so many conflicted feelings on this book, and I am going to have some difficulty reviewing it without spoiling it. I don't know if that makes sense because the ending was a wow. Maybe this video will probably be both discussion and book review, but this book is a psychological thriller slash horror slasher, little bit of slasher maybe, but not a whole lot. This book starts out with a prologue, and someone is trapped in a coffin and in a cemetery, and they are buried alive, and they are crawling out of this grave that they're in, and they are disoriented. And then immediately right away you see that there's all these crows in the cemetery. And then it starts right away with chapter 1. In chapter 1 we meet Scott. And Scott wakes up from this nightmare, and you begin to see sorry about that. You begin to see early that he has a fear of crows. And Scott has a family. He has 4 children, a wife, and he is going throughout his day, and you can see pretty early that his family is struggling with something, and you don't really know what it is until you start reading more into what's going on. Scott goes to work, and on his way home, something happens. He blacks out while driving home, and then he gets into a car accident and he's hurt. And the plot really begins to move on from there. We'll talk about that a little bit more. Early on in this book, there are many elements of foreshadowing. I had so many notes, not on the plot or even the characters, but a lot of them, my notes were just me asking questions. For example, in the very beginning of the book, everybody in Scott's family is getting ready for the day. He knocks on the door. I assume he's just being a courteous father, knocking on the door. And his eldest daughter, April, she opens her door, and then she goes to wake up the rest of her siblings, and he sees these locks on her door. And then he looks into her bedroom, and there's bars under her window. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? And I'm like, is that because of him? You're just really questioning a lot of what is going on. Then the book immediately goes into an extreme traumatic event that Scott had as an 8-year-old. And so basically, there is a flashback, and how that trauma kickstarts Scott's mental diagnosis. So I promise that's not a spoiler. It happened really early in the book. And that is all I'm going to share so far, because this book has a lot of twists and turns, and he leaves crumbs, and you're just like, okay, that is pretty obvious. I'm probably going to have to remember that for later. But this book also, there's not a whole lot of character development, except maybe a little with Scott. I also liked that this book had a really great ending, and the writing at the second half of this book is much better than the first half. The author really hits his stride, like about 100+ pages, but before then, you are still thinking, you are still questioning, you're asking, what the heck is going on? What happened to Scott? What event shook up this family? What's up with all these crows, like all everywhere? And the anxiety is definitely there. The pacing of the story is pretty good, and the author is doing the storytelling of what is going on through time leaps, like flashbacks, and then that further explain what Scott is fearing, like, and just trying to figure out what the heck is going on, and what happened to their family, what happened to Scott, why are they behaving this way. And that was me the entire book. What is going on? I felt like while reading, especially the second half of the book, like I was watching a horror movie. I was saying, what are you doing? Like yelling into the book. You know, I do that a lot in scary movies where I'm like, don't go in there. Don't do that. Oh no, oh my God. There was seriously a part of this book where I dropped it and I was like, no. I covered my eyes, like I could see it. Duh. I mean, I'm like reading it, so it's already in my brain. This book doesn't pull any punches on the horror of events that are taking place and murder and the bodies basically piling up. Like, yeah, it's crazy. And so be aware of that also. Okay, things I struggled with. One was how DID, or dissociative identity disorder, is partly portrayed in this book. And I mean, that disorder, DID, is a real mental disorder people deal with, but it's not used as a crazy plot twist in the story. Kind of like how, I don't know if you guys seen the movie Fight Club, and then he finds out, it's an old movie, he finds out at the end that he has another personality and it's basically him the whole time doing all of these things. But anyway, and that was the huge plot twist at the conclusion of that movie, and it's nothing like that. But you learn very early on in the book that Scott develops this disorder due to a trauma he experiences. But I don't like how the character, Dr. Freeman, that guy, he says, oh, he's looking at me evil, and I feel very unsettled and he's scared. But but Scott is just a guy. He's a person living with his disorder. He has a family, he has a wife. And again, that is all I'm going to say, because again, I don't want to spoil the book. But also, this book was a little bit hard for me to start, and I think it was the writing. I feel like in the beginning, maybe Chad, the author, Chad Nicholas, is trying to just set up what is going on, like just to give us a layout. But the writing in the first half of the book really differs from the second half. Or not even the second half, maybe the last 2/3 of the book is pretty good. And I didn't have any problems with the writing in the later part of the book. I actually was speeding through it, and it only took me about 2 days to read this book. I probably would have finished it in one day, in one setting, but I've been so swamped with work and all of my other familial obligations and just a lot of stuff going on right now. And also, this book is plot driven, not a lot of character development. But my favorite character at the end of this book, well, they're kind of like flopping around. I felt like my love for some of, or maybe just one or two of the characters was going back and forth. Like, yeah, I felt like I was just fish just flopping sides back and forth. So that was kind of fun. It was kind of interesting. And the ending actually confused me a little bit. I had to read it twice, but when I read it that second time, and I think because the first time I was reading it so fast. I was speeding through like maybe the last 30 pages or so of this book. The anxiety and the urgency of what was going on, I just really needed to finish this book. And I think I wasn't paying closely attention to the details in maybe those last two chapters. Once I finished the book the second time, I actually called up Chad. On a Zoom call, I talked with him. I had a really cool conversation with Chad, who is the author of this book. It was cool talking with him about the ending and just the characters and his journey just writing this book, because this book is a self-published book. The ending, oh, it really surprised me. I was like, whoa. It was an interesting plot twist. And okay, this is just me, but what I recommend is rereading after you finished it, and or maybe even not even rereading it, but just skimming over some things. And after I finished and I was rereading a few pages and chapters and just skimming over things, and I was like, hi, yeah. Oh, okay. It was really cool just to go back over things. And I was like, oh, my rating for this book. Oh, okay. I struggled to rate this book. I was kind of leaning towards giving this book like a 2.75 stars, 2.8 or something. But I guess, and I'll just round that up to a 3. Because there are some elements in that book that felt like there were stigmas and inaccurate portrayals of DID. And because of this book, I actually started to read up more on DID. And now I am more aware. In my opinion, I feel that also writers and even us as readers should be more aware and just research a little bit more of how mental disabilities and disorders are portrayed in books and in the media. But yet the ending was not quite playing on that, but it wasn't. I really don't, I'm struggling to explain it without totally giving away the ending, but it was an ending definitely that I wasn't expecting. So I just say, if you guys want a fun read, and don't even bother foreshadowing, just enjoy this read. And I don't really want to share any more than that, but then it also took me a little bit longer to be immersed in the plot. And lastly, again, the interesting twist on a horror trope, that was what I wasn't expecting. So that was a little bit of a fun conclusion for me. I guess that concludes my book review for this book. And so thank you, Chad. I appreciate you sending me this book. And in exchange for this book, I'm doing this book review. This came out on October 6th, so just this week, and I believe you can still get this for about $4, I believe, on Kindle right now, if you are interested in reading it. And also, I usually post a discussion video along with my book reviews, but unfortunately, I won't be doing one for this book. I am just so busy. I'm swamped. I'm really just wanting to try to stick to my TBR schedule. So sorry, readers. I really want to stick to my TBR. I really want to finish those books and get into them. And right now, I'm reading Mongrels by Stephen Graham Jones, and I'm having a good time reading that. So, okay. So, readers, I just want to say, y'all have a nice day. Happy reading. Read fiercely, and I shall see you all next time. So stay safe, and yeah, till next time, I shall see you soon. All right, bye.